The Great Hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with the sounds of 100 different alien voices. Tall beings with blue skin laughed with creatures that looked like walking trees. Others floated in the air, their tentacles waving as they spoke. In the middle of all this noise and color sat one small figure that everyone ignored. Ambassador Su-Min Lee kept her head down as she listened to the other representatives talk. To them, she was nothing special. Just another human from that weak little planet called Earth. The one that got beaten so badly 50 years ago that they never tried to leave their home system again. "The humans think they can build new ships," laughed a voice that sounded like metal scraping against stone. Su-Min looked up to see Warlord Vextar, the leader of the Vorthak Empire. His red eyes glowed as he spoke to the others around him. "My scouts tell me they are trying to make metal fly again. It is quite funny." The other aliens joined in the laughter. Su-Min felt her hands tighten into fists under the table, but she forced her face to stay calm. This was exactly what Admiral Dae-Ho Kim had told her would happen. Let them laugh. Let them think humans were still the same broken people from 50 years ago. "Perhaps we should put them out of their misery," said another voice. This one belonged to High Commander Zelnoth of the Nexari Confederacy. Her snake-like body coiled as she spoke. "The humans have had enough time to recover. If they cannot defend themselves by now, maybe they do not deserve to exist." Su-Min stood up slowly. The hall grew quiet as hundreds of alien eyes turned to look at her. She was small compared to most of them, barely reaching the chest of the shortest alien in the room. Her simple black clothes looked plain next to their colorful armor and robes. "The people of Earth thank the Council for their concern," Su-Min said in a steady voice. "We are working hard to rebuild what was lost. We hope for peace with all members of the galaxy." The laughter started again, louder this time. Warlord Vextar stood up, his massive frame casting a shadow over Su-Min. "Peace!" he roared. "You had peace for 50 years, and what did you do with it? You built ships that barely fly and weapons that could not hurt a child." Su-Min nodded politely. "We are not a warlike people. We prefer to spend our time learning and growing food." This made the aliens laugh even harder. Su-Min sat back down and waited for the meeting to end. Inside her jacket, a small device recorded every word being said. Every laugh, every threat, every plan. Admiral Dae-Ho Kim and his team would want to hear all of this. Far below the surface of Earth, in a place so deep that no alien scanner could find it, Dr. Hai-Jin Park watched the council meeting on her screens. The underground facility stretched for miles in every direction. Thousands of humans worked at stations filled with technology that would make the aliens stop laughing if they could see it. "They really think we are helpless," said Captain Won-Sik Cho as he walked up behind her chair. His uniform was black like the shadows, designed for work that no one was supposed to see. "Good," Dr. Hai-Jin Park replied without taking her eyes off the screen. 50 years of acting weak has given us time to become strong. Very strong." She touched a button and the screens changed to show different views of Earth. But these were not the Earth that aliens knew about. Hidden under the oceans were massive shipyards where new vessels waited in the dark. Mountains that looked normal from above hid weapons that could destroy entire fleets. Even the moon had been hollowed out and turned into a fortress. "How long until the Phoenix Protocol is ready?" Captain Won-Sik Cho asked. "It has been ready for 10 years, Dr. Hai-Jin Park said with a small smile. "We are just waiting for someone to give us a reason to use it." Back on the space station where the council met, Su-Min Lee walked slowly through the halls after the meeting ended. Other aliens pushed past her without saying sorry. Some stepped on her feet on purpose. She was used to this treatment by now. What they did not know was that every step she took, every hall she walked through was being mapped by tiny devices sewn into her clothes. The locations of guard posts, weapons, and important rooms were all being recorded. Information that would be very useful if Earth ever needed to visit this place with different intentions. Su-Min stopped at a window that looked out into space. The view was beautiful, with stars scattered like diamonds on black cloth. Somewhere out there, past the edge of what most aliens knew, human ships moved through the darkness. Ships that could travel faster and hit harder than anything the galaxy had ever seen. She thought about her son, Tai Min, who worked on one of those ships. He was part of the generation that grew up knowing the truth about Earth's strength. Unlike Sumin, who had to pretend to be weak every day, Taemin and his friends prepared for the day when pretending would no longer be necessary. A soft beep from her communication device told Sumin it was time to return to Earth. She made her way to the small, slow ship that the aliens expected humans to use. It looked old and weak from the outside, but Sumin knew that looks could be very deceiving. As her ship left the station, Sumin activated a hidden communication system. "Control, this is Dove. The meeting went as expected. The Vorthax are planning something big. They mentioned Earth 3 times and made jokes about our defenses." The voice that answered came from Admiral Daeho Kim himself. "Understood, Dove. Return home safely. We may need to have a serious conversation with our neighbors soon." Sumin smiled as she set course for Earth. Behind her, the council station grew smaller until it was just another dot of light among the stars. The aliens there would continue their meetings and their plans, never knowing that every word they spoke was heard by people who were no longer the weak humans they remembered. On Earth, in his office deep underground, Admiral Daeho Kim studied reports from across the galaxy. Human agents, people who had spent decades pretending to be traders and workers, sent information every day. The picture they painted was clear. Several alien empires were getting ready for war. "They want our solar system," said Colonel Mi-Young-han as she placed another report on his desk. "The location is too good for trade routes. They have been patient for 50 years, but their patience is running out." Admiral Daeho Kim nodded. "Then we will give them what they want. A demonstration of what happens when you attack Earth twice." Walked to a window that showed the hidden levels of the facility below. Thousands of people worked day and night on projects that would have seemed impossible 50 years ago. Back then, Earth really had been weak. The aliens had crushed their fleets and burned their cities without much effort. But that defeat had taught humanity something important. Being strong was not enough if everyone knew you were strong. Sometimes it was better to look weak until the moment you needed to show your true power. "Send word to all our hidden bases," Admiral Daeho Kim ordered. "It is time to prepare for Phase 2 of the Phoenix Protocol." Colonel Mi-Young-han smiled. "Should I tell the orbital platforms to get ready?" "Tell them all," Admiral Daeho Kim said. "Every hidden ship, every secret weapon, every person who has been waiting for this day. The aliens think they know what humans are capable of. It is time to teach them how wrong they have been." As night fell over Earth, the planet looked peaceful and quiet from space. Cities glowed with soft light, and small ships moved slowly between the colonies on nearby moons. To any alien watching, it looked like a world full of people who had given up on being anything more than farmers and builders. They could not see the massive structures hidden under the oceans. They could not detect the weapons built into asteroids throughout the solar system. They had no idea that every human civilian had been trained for war, or that Earth's weak technology was actually 50 years ahead of anything else in the galaxy. The deception was perfect, and it was almost time for the truth to come out. The war fleet of the Vorthak Empire stretched across space like a metal cloud. Hundreds of massive ships moved in perfect formation, their weapons charged and ready for battle. Warlord Vextar stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the stars ahead with hungry red eyes. "How many ships do we have now?" he asked his second-in-command, a younger Vorthak named General Kratham. 837 warships, my lord," General Kratham replied. "The Nexari have sent 200 more. The Kethrin Hives are bringing their swarm fighters, and the Stellar Dominion promises another 300 vessels." Warlord Vextar smiled, showing teeth like broken glass. "More than 1,500 ships to destroy one weak planet. The humans should feel honored that so many have come to watch them die." What Warlord Vextar did not know was that his every word was being heard by Captain Won-Sik Cho, sitting in a hidden control room deep inside an asteroid near the edge of the solar system. The asteroid looked like any other space rock, but inside it was filled with the most advanced listening equipment Earth had ever built. "They are really proud of their numbers," Captain Won-Sik Cho said to his team. 1,500 ships sounds like a lot to them." Ensign Dalho Park, one of the younger officers, looked worried. "Sir, that really is a lot of ships. Are we ready for something that big?" Captain Won-Sik Cho smiled. "Son, we have been ready for something twice that big for 20 years. The question is not whether we can handle them. The question is, how many of them we should let survive to tell others what happened here? Back on Earth, engineer Tae Jun-yoon worked in a factory that made simple farming equipment. At least, that was what the building looked like from outside. Inside, past the fake walls and hidden doors, was one of the most advanced weapons research facilities in the galaxy. The new quantum torpedoes are ready, Tae Jun-yoon reported to his supervisor. Each one can punch through a Star Destroyer's shields like they were made of paper. How many do we have? Asked Dr. Bo-ram Kim, the head of the weapons division. 50,000, and we are making more every day, Tae Jun-yoon replied. The aliens think quantity matters more than quality. They are about to learn how wrong they are. In another part of the facility, Colonel Mi Young-han trained with her special soldiers. The Phantom Corps looked like normal humans, but they had been changed in ways that made them faster, stronger, and smarter than any alien warrior. Their armor was invisible to most scanners, and their weapons could cut through anything. Remember, Colonel Mi Young-han told her troops as they practiced fighting in zero gravity, we are not trying to win a fair fight. We are trying to end this war so fast that other aliens will think twice before attacking Earth again. Sergeant Kyung-ho Lim raised his hand. Colonel, what if they surrender before we can show them what we can do? Then we will be very polite when we accept their surrender, Colonel Mi Young-han replied. But I do not think they will surrender. They think we are the same humans they beat 50 years ago. High above Earth, in a space station that looked like a small research facility, Captain Yoon-sol Lim prepared her ship for a very dangerous mission. Her vessel was unlike anything else in the galaxy. It could become completely invisible, not just to the eye, but to every kind of scanner the aliens used. Are you sure about this plan? Asked her navigator, Lieutenant Yu Na-song. Flying right into the middle of their fleet seems very risky. It is risky, Captain Yoon-sol Lim agreed as she checked her ship's systems. But we need to know exactly what weapons they have and how they plan to attack. The best way to do that is to sit right next to them and listen. Her ship, the Shadow Dancer, was smaller than most alien fighters, but packed with technology that was decades ahead of anything else. It could record every communication, map every weapon, and track every movement without anyone knowing it was there. Besides, Captain Yoon-sol Lim added with a grin, if they somehow do detect us, this little ship can outrun anything they have. We will be home in time for dinner. On the other side of the galaxy, intelligence officer Yu Jin Kang sat in a small apartment on the Nexari homeworld. To her neighbors, she was just another trader who bought and sold small items between different planets. They had no idea she was one of hundreds of human agents scattered across alien space. The Nexari fleet is leaving tomorrow, she reported through a communication device hidden inside what looked like a simple cooking pot. They are taking their best ships and their most experienced commanders. Their homeworld will be almost defenseless. The voice that answered belonged to General Sang-woo Jang, Earth's supreme military commander. Good work, Agent 15. Continue. Monitoring and stay safe. We may need your help soon. Yu Jin Kang smiled as she ended the communication. She had been living among the Nexari for 12 years, slowly building relationships and gathering information. They trusted her completely, never suspecting that the quiet human traitor was actually one of Earth's most skilled spies. Similar conversations were happening on dozens of alien worlds. Humans who had spent years or even decades building fake lives were all reporting the same thing. The major military powers of the galaxy were sending their fleets to attack Earth, leaving their homeworlds with only basic defenses. It is almost like they planned this for us, General Sang-woo Jang said to Admiral Dae-ho Kim as they reviewed the intelligence reports. They are gathering all their best ships in one place while leaving their homes unprotected. Pride, Admiral Dae-ho Kim replied. They are so sure that Earth is weak that they want to bring enough ships to make the battle look impressive. They want to show off for each other. In the deepest part of Earth's ocean, Commodore Jae-sung Park walked through the corridors of Fortress Alpha, a military base built inside an underwater mountain. The base was so large that it had its own weather systems, and so deep that no alien scanner could detect it. Status report, he asked Commander Hai Wan-cho, his second in command. All weapon systems are online, Commander Hai Wan-cho replied. The shield generators are charged and ready. Our stealth fields are working perfectly. To anyone looking from space, this area of ocean looks completely normal. Commodore Jae-sung Park nodded. Fortress Alpha was just one of 47 major military bases hidden around Earth. Each one had enough firepower to destroy a fleet, but from above, they were invisible. "What about the orbital platforms?" he asked. "Ready and waiting," Commander Haiwan Cho said. "Captain Dongmin Nam reports that all deep space units are in position. The aliens will not see them coming." As the alien fleets moved closer to Earth's solar system, Major Hyunwoo Shin prepared his rapid response fleet at a base hidden inside Earth's moon. His ships were small and fast, designed to hit hard and disappear before the enemy could react. "How many ships do we have ready?" he asked his squadron leaders. 2,000 combat vessels," replied squadron leader Jinna Kwan. "Each one is faster than the aliens' best fighters and armed with weapons they have never seen before. And they think we have maybe 50 old ships that barely work," Major Hyunwoo Shin said with a laugh. "This is going to be the shortest war in galactic history." Back in space, the alien fleets continued to gather. Representatives from 4 different empires met on Warlord Vextar's flagship to plan their attack. "The humans will probably surrender as soon as they see our fleet," said High Commander Zelnoth. "They know they cannot win against so many ships." "We should not accept their surrender," growled Fleet Marshal Cordon of the Kethran Hives. "They need to be destroyed completely so that other weak species know what happens when they take up space that stronger beings want." Admiral Thexeral of the Stellar Dominion nodded in agreement. "A quick battle will send the right message to the galaxy. No one will question our right to expand after we turn Earth into dust." They had no idea that their entire conversation was being recorded by Captain Yunsol Lim, whose invisible ship floated just outside their flagship. Every plan they made, every target they chose, was being sent back to Earth in real time. "They plan to destroy every human city," Captain Yunsol Lim reported quietly. "This is not going to be a conquest. They want to commit genocide." On Earth, Admiral Daeho Kim listened to the report with a calm expression, but his eyes were cold as winter. "Then we will not hold anything back," he said. "Signal all units. We are now authorized to use Protocol 7. Around the room, his staff exchanged glances. Protocol 7 was the most powerful response Earth had developed. It had never been tested in real combat because nothing had ever been threatening enough to require it. "Sir," asked Colonel Myung-han, "are you sure? Protocol 7 will reveal everything we have built." "They want to kill every human being," Admiral Daeho Kim replied. "They have made their choice. Now they will live with the consequences." As the alien fleets prepared for what they thought would be an easy victory, Earth's true defenses began to activate. Deep in space, weapons platforms that had been disguised as space debris for decades started to power up. On distant asteroids, missile batteries emerged from hidden silos. Throughout the solar system, the greatest military force ever assembled by humanity prepared to defend their home. The aliens were about to learn that humans were very good students, and the lesson they had learned from their defeat 50 years ago was simple. Never let your enemies. The combined alien fleet arrived at the edge of Earth's solar system like a storm made of metal and fire. 1,500 warships moved in perfect formation, their weapons powered up and their shields glowing. To the aliens on board, this looked like the easiest conquest in galactic history. Warlord Vextar stood on his bridge, watching the small blue planet that hung in the distance like a jewel. "Begin scanning for human defenses," he ordered his crew, "though I doubt we will find much." The scan results came back exactly as expected. A few small orbital stations, some mining platforms around the outer planets, and maybe 30 ships that looked like they had been built with spare parts. High Commander Zelnoth laughed when she saw the reports. "This is embarrassing," she said over the communication link. "We brought 1,500 ships to fight 30. The humans will surrender before we fire a single shot." But as the alien commanders prepared their victory speeches, something unexpected happened. Every communication device in their fleet suddenly activated at the same time. A calm human voice spoke in perfect galactic standard, clear enough for every alien to understand. "This is Admiral Daeho Kim of the Terran Defense Command. You have entered our solar system with hostile intent. 50 years ago, your people attacked us and taught us a valuable lesson about the galaxy we live in. We learned that lesson well." On the bridge of his flagship, Warlord Vextar snarled with anger. How did they access our communication systems? Cut them off! His technical officers worked frantically at their controls, but nothing they did could stop the human voice from continuing. You believe we are the same weak species you defeated 5 decades ago? You are wrong. We used those 50 years to become something you cannot imagine. This is your only warning. Leave our system now, or we will show the galaxy what happens when you awaken sleeping giants. The alien fleet buzzed with laughter and angry comments. Fleet Marshal Cordon's voice cut through the noise like a blade. Sleeping giants? These pathetic humans think they can threaten us? Show them what real power looks like. Admiral Thexral agreed with enthusiasm. Fire a warning shot at their largest orbital station. Let them see what happens to insects who challenge their betters. The order went out, and the massive guns of the alien flagship began to charge. But before they could fire, something impossible happened. The space around the alien fleet began to change. What looked like empty space suddenly filled with objects that had not been there a moment before. Asteroids that had been drifting peacefully for millions of years split open like flowers, revealing weapons platforms inside. Space debris that scanners had ignored turned out to be camouflaged warships. Even the small moons of the outer planets began to move in ways that moons were not supposed to move. What is happening? Warlord Vextar roared at his sensor operators. Where did all these ships come from? The answer came from Captain Yun Sol Lim, whose invisible ship was still floating undetected among the alien fleet. Stealth technology, she reported back to Earth. They cannot understand how we hid so many platforms in plain sight. On Earth, Admiral Dae-Ho Kim watched the alien fleet's confusion with satisfaction. Signal all units, he ordered. Decloak the orbital fortresses. Let them see what 50 years of preparation looks like. Around the entire solar system, space began to shimmer as hundreds of massive structures became visible. What the aliens had thought was empty space was actually filled with the largest collection of weapons platforms ever built. Each fortress was the size of a small moon and armed with technology that made the aliens' best weapons look like toys. Commodore J. Sung Park stood in the command center of Fortress Prime, the largest of the orbital platforms. Through his windows, he could see the alien fleet in the distance, their ships looking small and fragile compared to the human defenses. They look surprised, observed Commander Haiwan Cho with a smile. They should be, Commodore J. Sung Park replied. They thought they were attacking a defenseless planet. Instead, they found the most heavily defended system in the galaxy, K. In the alien fleet, panic was beginning to set in. Sensor readings showed that the humans had not just built a few hidden weapons. They had turned their entire solar system into a fortress. Every asteroid, every piece of space debris, every seemingly innocent mining station was actually a military installation. How many weapons platforms are there? High Commander Zelnoth asked her sensor officers, her snake-like body coiling with nervousness. We are detecting over 800 major installations, came the shaky reply. And those are just the ones. We can see now. There may be more still hidden. Admiral Thexral's confidence was starting to crack. This is impossible. Our intelligence said the humans were weak. They were supposed to have almost no defenses. Intelligence Officer Eugene Kang, still hidden on the Nexari homeworld, smiled as she listened to the alien communications. Years of careful work had paid off. The false information that human agents had been feeding to alien spies for decades had worked perfectly. Should we retreat? Asked Fleet Marshal Corridon, his usual aggression replaced by uncertainty. Retreat? Warlord Vextar's voice was full of rage. We came here with 1,500 ships. Even if they have some hidden weapons, we still outnumber them. But as he spoke, the human fleet began to appear. Major Hyunwoo Shin's rapid response ships emerged from hidden bases throughout the system. They moved faster than anything the aliens had ever seen, appearing and disappearing like ghosts. Count the human ships, Warlord Vextar ordered. The numbers that came back made every alien commander fall silent. 2,000 combat vessels, each one more advanced than the aliens' best designs. And that was just the mobile fleet. The orbital platforms and hidden bases brought the total number of human weapons into the thousands. We are outnumbered, General Kratham whispered to Warlord Vextar. Badly outnumbered, On Earth, General Sang-Woo Jang coordinated the massive defense network from his command bunker. Every human ship, every weapons platform, every hidden base was under his control. It was like conducting an orchestra, except this orchestra was made of the most destructive force ever assembled. "Sir," reported Captain Dalho Park, "the alien fleet is trying to retreat." "Let them go?" General Sang-Woo Jang asked Admiral Dae-ho Kim. Admiral Dae-ho Kim shook his head. "They came here to commit genocide. They need to understand that actions have consequences. Signal the deep space units. Begin Phase 2. Throughout the galaxy, human ships that had been hiding in the darkness for years suddenly appeared near, alien homeworlds. Captain Dongmin Nam led the assault on the Vorthak supply lines, destroying cargo ships and communication relays with surgical precision. "How are they doing this?" Admiral Thexeral demanded as reports came in of attacks on his home system. "How do they have ships everywhere at once?" The answer was simple, but terrifying. For 50 years, while the aliens thought humans were hiding, on Earth, in fear, they had actually been spreading throughout the galaxy. Human agents, human ships, human bases had been placed in strategic locations, all waiting for this moment. Dr. Hai Rin-Yu worked from a laboratory ship hidden in an asteroid field near the Kethran homeworld. Her specialty was biological warfare, but not the kind that killed. Her weapons were designed to disable alien nervous systems temporarily, making it impossible for them to fight. "Deploying neural disruptors," she reported, as her ship released clouds of microscopic machines near the alien fleet. "Their crews will be unconscious in 10 minutes. The aliens watched in horror as their own people began to collapse at their stations. The microscopic machines targeted the specific brain chemistry of each alien species, causing harmless but complete unconsciousness. "What kind of monsters are these humans?" High Commander Zelnoth gasped as her own crew began to fall. Asleep around her. "The kind of monsters you created," came Admiral Dae-ho Kim's voice over their communication systems. "50 years ago, you taught us that the galaxy was a dangerous place. You showed us that only the strong survive. We learned that lesson very well." Fleet Admiral In-ho Lee commanded the human strike force that was systematically dismantling alien defenses throughout the galaxy. His ships appeared without warning, destroyed their targets with overwhelming force, and disappeared before the aliens could respond. "The aliens built their empires on the idea that might makes right," Fleet Admiral In-ho Lee explained to his officers. "Now they are learning what happens when they meet someone mightier than themselves." Back in the solar system, the alien fleet was trapped. They could not advance because the human defenses were too strong. They could not retreat because human ships had surrounded them. And they could not call for help because their communication networks were being jammed by technology they did not understand. "We surrender!" Warlord Vextar finally broadcast on all frequencies. "We surrender! Stop your attack!" The human response came immediately. "Surrender is not an option." Admiral Dae-ho Kim's voice was as cold as space itself. "You came here to destroy every human being. Did you plan to accept our surrender?" The alien commanders fell silent. They had not planned to accept any surrender. Their orders had been clear: kill every human and claim Earth for themselves. However, Admiral Dae-ho Kim continued, "We are not like you. We do not enjoy killing. Power down your weapons and prepare to." The alien fleet made their choice in the worst possible way. Instead of accepting the human offer to leave peacefully, Warlord Vextar let his pride make the decision for him. "We did not come this far to be humiliated by hairless apes," he roared to his fleet commanders. "All ships attack formation! Show these humans what real warriors can do!" The 1,500 alien warships spread out across space and opened fire with everything they had. Massive energy beams and explosive missiles filled the darkness between the stars. It was the largest military attack in galactic history. Enough firepower to destroy entire planets. Admiral Dae-ho Kim watched the incoming assault from his command center deep beneath Earth's surface. Around him, hundreds of officers worked at stations that controlled the most advanced defense network ever built. The screens showed thousands of alien weapons racing toward human positions. "Activate the temporal shields," Admiral Dae-ho Kim ordered calmly. What happened next broke every rule of physics that the aliens understood. the human orbital fortresses began to glow with a strange blue light. When the alien weapons reached them, something impossible occurred. The energy beams and missiles simply disappeared, as if they had never existed at all. Dr. Boram Kim had spent 20 years developing the temporal shield technology. It did not stop enemy weapons by blocking them or absorbing their energy. Instead, it moved them slightly out of normal time, causing them to miss their targets by existing in a different moment. Their weapons are passing right through our shields, reported Commodore Jae-Sung Park from Fortress Prime. They cannot hit what exists in a different time stream. The alien commanders stared at their screens in disbelief. Their most powerful weapons had simply vanished without causing any damage at all. It was like trying to punch a ghost. "Impossible," whispered High Commander Zell Noth. "Energy cannot just disappear like that." "You are thinking too small," came Dr. Boram Kim's voice over their communication system. "You build bigger guns to make bigger explosions. We learned to make your explosions happen in a time when we are not there." The aliens tried again, firing even more weapons. The result was the same. Every shot passed harmlessly through the human defenses, as if they were made of air. 50 years of human research had produced technology that made conventional warfare obsolete. But the humans were not content to simply defend. Major Hyunwoo Shin led his rapid response fleet in the first counterattack. His ships moved through space in ways that should have been impossible, accelerating and turning without any visible means of propulsion. "How are they moving like that?" Fleet Marshal Cordan demanded as he watched human ships dance around his weapons fire. "What kind of engines do they have?" Engineer Tai Jun-yoon had asked himself the same question when he first started working on the new propulsion systems. The answer had come from studying how space itself could be bent and twisted. Instead of pushing through space, human ships now moved by changing the shape of space around them. "Target their engines!" Admiral Thexral ordered his gunners. "If we can disable their movement, we can destroy them." But the human ships had no engines to target. They moved by manipulating gravity and space-time itself. Destroying their propulsion system would require destroying the laws of physics. Major Hyunwoo Shin smiled as his squadron weaved through the alien formation like dancers in a deadly ballet. "All units, switch to quantum torpedoes. Let them see what real weapons can do." The human ships fired weapons that looked like small points of light. But when those points of light touched alien vessels, the results were devastating. Entire warships simply came apart at the molecular level, their hulls dissolving like sugar in water. "What are those weapons?" Warlord Vextar screamed as he watched ship after ship in his fleet disappear. Engineer Tai Jun-yoon had designed the quantum torpedoes to work at the smallest possible level. Instead of exploding like normal weapons, they convinced the atoms in enemy ships to stop holding together. The aliens were being destroyed by weapons that attacked the very idea of solid matter. In the first 5 minutes of real combat, the alien fleet lost over 200 ships. The humans had not lost a single vessel. The battle was turning into the most one-sided fight in galactic history. "We need to retreat," General Kratham advised his commander. "This is not a battle we can win." But retreat was no longer an option. Captain Dong-min Nam's deep space wings had positioned themselves behind the alien fleet. When the aliens tried to turn around and flee, they found human ships waiting for them with weapons that could reach across impossible distances. "They are surrounding us," Admiral Thexral reported, his voice shaking with fear. "We are trapped." On Earth, Colonel Mi Young-han received permission to deploy her Phantom Corps. The elite soldiers put on their invisible armor and boarded small ships that could not be detected by any alien scanner. Their mission was to capture alien commanders alive for questioning. "Remember," Colonel Mi Young-han told her troops as they prepared to board enemy vessels, "we want prisoners, not corpses. Set your weapons to stun only." The Phantom Corps soldiers moved through space like ghosts, invisible to both sight and scanner. They cut through alien ship hulls with tools that sliced through metal like air, then moved through the corridors without making a sound. Sergeant Kyung-ho Lim found himself on the bridge of Admiral Thexral's flagship. The alien crew was so focused on the battle outside that they never noticed the invisible human walking among them. With a weapon that fired bursts of neural energy, Sergeant Kyung-ho Lim put the entire bridge crew to sleep without harming them. "Bridge secure," he reported quietly. Admiral Thexral is unconscious, but alive. Similar reports came in from across the alien fleet. Human soldiers were capturing key personnel and disabling important systems without the aliens even knowing. They were there. It was psychological warfare at its most effective. Our people are being captured from inside our own ships, High Commander Zell Noth reported in panic. How are they getting past our security? The answer came from Captain Yun Sol Lim, whose ship was still invisible among the alien fleet. The same way I have been watching you this whole time. We learned to be invisible in ways you cannot detect. Meanwhile, Dr. Hei Rin Yu was conducting her own form of warfare from her hidden laboratory ship. Her biological weapons spread through the alien fleet like a silent plague, but instead of causing death, they caused something much more disturbing for warriors: complete pacifism. I am releasing modified viruses into their air systems, she reported to Earth. The effect is temporary but complete. Their brains will be unable to feel aggression for approximately 6 hours. Across the alien fleet, warriors who had spent their entire lives fighting suddenly found themselves unable to want to hurt anyone. Weapons fell from hands that could no longer bear to hold them. Orders to attack were ignored by crews who could not understand why anyone would want to cause pain. "What is happening to my warriors?" Fleet Marshal Corridon demanded as he watched his crew sit down and refuse to fight. "Why will they not obey orders?" "Because for the first time in their lives, they understand what peace feels like," Dr. Hai Rin Yu's voice explained over their communication system. "We have temporarily given them the ability to see war the way we see it, as something horrible. That should be avoided." The alien fleet was falling apart without the humans having to destroy it. Ships drifted powerlessly as their crews experienced emotions they had never felt before: fear, regret, sadness for all the beings they had killed in previous wars. "This is wrong," Warlord Vextar broadcast to the human fleet. "War is natural. The strong are meant to rule the weak." "War is a choice," Admiral Daeho Kim replied. "And we choose to show you that there are other options. Your crews are experiencing what it feels like to value life instead of taking it. In a few hours, the effect will wear off and they can choose for themselves what kind of beings they want to be. But not all of the aliens were affected by the biological weapons. Some wore environmental suits that protected them from the modified viruses. These crews continued to fight, their weapons blazing as they tried to damage the seemingly invincible human defenses. Fleet Admiral In-Ho Lee led the response to this continued resistance. His ships used weapons that the aliens had never seen before, devices that could reach inside enemy vessels and disable specific systems without harming the crew. "Targeting their weapon systems only," Fleet Admiral In-Ho Lee reported. "I want their guns silent, but their life support working." The human weapons reached through alien shields as if they were not there, shutting down guns and missile launchers with surgical precision. Within minutes, the remaining fighting ships found themselves completely disarmed, but otherwise undamaged. "How did they disable our weapons without touching our ships?" Admiral Thexral asked weakly as he woke up from the neural stun beam. "Quantum manipulation," Engineer Tae-Jun Yoon explained helpfully. "We convinced the atoms in your weapons to stop conducting electricity. Your guns still work perfectly, except for the small detail that energy cannot flow through them anymore. The battle was over. 1,500 alien warships hung powerless in space, their crews either unconscious, pacified, or disarmed. Not a single human had been killed, and only a handful of aliens had died in the fighting. Do you understand now, Admir?" As the alien fleet floated helplessly in space, the true scale of humanity's transformation began to reveal itself. The disabled ships were just the beginning. Across the galaxy, human forces were demonstrating their reach in ways that made the alien commanders realize they had never truly understood what they were facing. Intelligence Officer Eugene Kong stepped out of the shadows on the Nexari homeworld. For 12 years, she had pretended to be a simple trader. Now she stood in the center of the Planetary Defense Command, surrounded by Nexari military officers who stared at her in shock. "Hello, Commander Sil Theta," she said to the Nexari defense chief, who had been her friend for over a decade. "I am sorry for the deception, but it was necessary." The Nexari commander's snake-like body trembled as she processed what was happening. "Eugene, you are human?" But we have known each other for so long. We shared meals together. Our children played together. That part was real, Yujin Kong said gently. I care about you and your family. That is why I am here now instead of letting human warships destroy your defenses from orbit. I am giving you a chance to surrender peacefully. Around the galaxy, similar scenes were playing out on dozens of worlds. Humans who had lived among aliens for years were revealing their true identities, but they were not doing it with cruelty or revenge. They were doing it with sadness for the friendships that had been built on necessary lies. On the Kethron homeworld, Dr. Heirin Yu's colleague, Agent Sung-Ho Min, stood before the Hive Queen herself. He had spent 8 years working as a research scientist, contributing to projects that genuinely helped the Kethron people. Your Majesty, he said with a respectful bow, I have served in your research facilities with honor. The work we did together to cure the Red Plague was real. My dedication to saving Kethron lives was not pretense. The massive Hive Queen looked down at the small human with compound eyes that reflected confusion and hurt. Then why? Why live among us if you are our enemy? Because we are not your enemy, Agent Sung-Ho Min replied. We never were. But your fleet is currently trying to destroy every human city on Earth. We had to be prepared for this day. Back in Earth's solar system, Admiral Daeho Kim made a decision that would change galactic history. Instead of keeping the alien fleet as prisoners or destroying their ships, he chose to show them something that no alien had ever seen. The truth about what Earth had become. You will be taken on a tour, he announced to the captured alien commanders. You will see our cities, our factories, our schools. You will meet our people, and then you will understand why we fight so hard to protect what we have built. Warlord Vextar was the first to be transported down to Earth's surface. He expected to see a world of warriors preparing for eternal war. Instead, he found himself in a city filled with families, artists, and scientists. Children played in parks while their parents worked in laboratories that pushed the boundaries of knowledge. This is not what I expected, Warlord Vextar admitted to his human guide, Commander Haiwan Cho. Where are your weapons factories? Your warrior training grounds? Our weapons are built by machines in automated facilities, Commander Haiwan Cho explained. Our people prefer to spend their time creating rather than destroying. The same minds that developed our defense systems also created new forms of art, better ways to grow food, and cures for diseases that affect dozens of species. In a research facility that looked more like a garden than a laboratory, Warlord Vextar met Dr. Haya Jin Park, the woman who had designed many of Earth's most advanced technologies. She was not the grim warrior he expected, but a grandmother, who showed him pictures of her grandchildren while explaining how quantum physics could be used to help plants grow in hostile environments. You have the power to conquer the galaxy, Warlord Vextar said, struggling to understand. Why do you waste time with such peaceful things? Because conquest is not our goal, Dr. Hai-Jin Park replied. We became powerful to protect ourselves, not to rule others. What would be the point of having the strongest military in the galaxy if we lost our souls in the process? High Commander Zelnoth was taken to a school where human children learned alongside young beings from species that were allied with Earth. The alien commander watched in amazement as a human child helped a struggling student from the Centauri Republic with their mathematics homework. Your children are not afraid of other species? High Commander Zelnoth asked the teacher, Ms. Eunjung Seo. Why should they be? Ms. Eunjung Seo replied. These children have grown up knowing that differences make us stronger, not weaker. They see other species as friends to learn from, not enemies to fear. Meanwhile, Fleet Marshal Cordon found himself in a hospital where human doctors worked to save the lives of wounded alien soldiers from previous conflicts. Dr. Min Seo Huang, the chief medical officer, showed him through wards where beings from a dozen different species received. Kare. These are Vorthak prisoners from border conflicts 2 years ago, Dr. Min Seo Huang explained as they passed a recovery room. We have been treating their injuries and helping them recover from battle trauma. Why? Fleet Marshal Cordon asked. They are your enemies. They are wounded beings who need help, Dr. Min Seo Huang replied. That is all that matters to us. Admiral Thexral was taken to the deep space monitoring stations where Captain Wansik Cho showed him how Earth tracked every military movement in the galaxy. But instead of using this information to plan attacks, the humans used it to predict and prevent conflicts. We knew about your attack plans 6 months ago, Captain Wansik Cho explained. We could have destroyed your fleets before they ever left your home systems. Instead, we spent that time trying to find ways to avoid this conflict entirely. Then why did you not contact us directly? Admiral Thexeral asked. We tried, Captain Wansik Cho replied sadly. 17 times, human diplomats attempted to open peaceful negotiations with your empires. Every message was ignored or rejected. You were determined to see us as weak prey, not as potential allies. As the alien commanders toured Earth, they began to understand something that changed their view of humanity forever. The humans had not become monsters to defeat monsters. They had become something much more dangerous to aggressive civilizations. They had become an example of what was possible when a species chose cooperation over conquest. Your people are happy, Admiral Thexeral observed during a visit to a human city. I see no signs of the fear and oppression that exist on our worlds. That is because we learned something important from our defeat 50 years ago, explained President Su Jin-oh when she met with the alien commanders. We learned that being strong is not about making others afraid of you. It is about protecting the things that make life worth living. The alien leaders were taken to art galleries where humans created beautiful works inspired by the wonders of the galaxy. They visited farms where new agricultural techniques developed by human scientists were being shared freely with allied species. They saw manufacturing centers where humans built medical equipment and educational tools for export to worlds that needed them. You are not warriors, Warlord Vextar finally said. You are gardeners with the tools of gods. We are whatever we need to be, President Su Jin-oh replied. When you threaten us, we become warriors who cannot be defeated. When you work with us, we become partners who will help you build a better future for your people. But the most important stop on the tour was the memorial to the First War. In the center of Earth's capital city stood a monument to every human who had died in the alien attack 50 years ago. The names of millions were carved in black stone, and fresh flowers were placed there every day by families who still mourned their losses. We have not forgotten what happened to us, Admiral Dae-ho Kim said as he joined the alien commanders at the memorial. But we chose to honor our dead by becoming protectors, not by becoming the same kind of destroyers who killed them. Hi. Commander Zelnoth ran her clawed hand over the carved names, understanding for the first time the true cost of the First War. So many, she whispered. We killed so many. Yes, Admiral Dae-ho Kim agreed. And we could have spent 50 years planning revenge. Instead, we spent 50 years making sure it would never happen again, to us or to anyone else. The final stop was the most shocking of all. The alien commanders were taken to a vast complex where thousands of humans worked on projects designed to help other species. Scientists developed cures for diseases that plagued alien worlds. Engineers designed better life support systems for species that lived in hostile environments. Doctors trained to treat medical conditions that only affected non-human biology. You help your enemies? Fleet Marshal Cordon asked in disbelief. We help anyone who needs help, replied Dr. Jiwon Yang, the director of interspecies medical research. The galaxy is full of problems that can only be solved if we work together. Disease, resource shortages, environmental damage, these things affect everyone, not just humans. As the tour ended and the alien commanders were returned to their ships, they carried with them a new understanding of what they faced. Earth had not just become militarily superior to the rest of the galaxy, they had become morally superior as well. What do you want from us? Warlord Vextar asked Admiral Dae-ho Kim during their final meeting. We want ya. 3 months after the failed attack on Earth, the galaxy had changed in ways that no one could have predicted. The defeated alien fleets had returned to their homeworlds carrying more than just news of their defeat. They carried a message that would reshape galactic civilization. President Su Jin-oh stood before the rebuilt Galactic Council, but this time the hall was different. The seats that had once been arranged to show which species were most powerful were now arranged in a circle, with no position higher than any other. And for the first time in galactic history, the council included representatives from species that had been too weak to have a voice before. The old order is dead, President Su Jin-oh announced to the assembled delegates. For too long, this galaxy has been ruled by fear. The strong took what they wanted from the weak, and everyone lived in terror of those more powerful than themselves. Today, we offer you something different. Ambassador Youngmi Choi, Earth's new diplomatic representative, placed a document on the central table. It was the Charter of Galactic Cooperation, a set of principles that would govern how species interacted with each other. No more conquest, Ambassador Youngmi Choi explained. No more slavery, no more genocide. Any species that signs this charter agrees to settle disputes through negotiation, not warfare. In return, they receive the protection of the Galactic Peacekeeping Force. The alien delegates looked at each other with uncertainty. Many of them had built their empires on the very things the charter forbade. How could they maintain their power without the ability to take what they wanted by force? Warlord Vextar, who had once commanded the largest military fleet in the galaxy, was the first to speak. What you propose is impossible. Strong species will always dominate weak ones. It is the natural order. The natural order has changed. President Sujin-Oh replied calmly. 3 months ago, your empire was the strongest military power in the galaxy. Today, you could not conquer a single human colony. Strength is no longer measured by the size of your army. Admiral Ji-hoon Seo, the new commander of the Galactic Peacekeeping Force, activated a holographic display that showed the current state of galactic military power. The numbers were shocking to everyone except the humans. Earth's military forces now exceed the combined strength of every other species in the galaxy, Admiral Ji-hoon Seo explained. We have ships stationed near every major world, weapons platforms in every important system, and the ability to respond to any threat within hours. High Commander Zelnoth raised her hand to speak. You are threatening us. How is this different from the old system of rule by force? Because we are not using this power to rule you, President Sujin-Oh replied. We are using it to protect those who cannot protect themselves. The weak no longer need to fear the strong, because we will not allow the strong to prey upon them. To demonstrate this point, Ambassador Youngmi Choi called forward a delegation from the Zephyrian Republic, a small species that had been enslaved by the Kethron hives for over 2 centuries. The Zephyrians were small, gentle beings who had never developed advanced weapons technology. Last week, human forces liberated the Zephyrian homeworld, Ambassador Youngmi Choi announced. The Kethron mining operations that were poisoning their environment have been shut down. The Zephyrian people are free for the first time in 200 years. Fleet Marshal Corridon, representing the Kethron hives, buzzed angrily. Those worlds belong to us. We conquered them fairly. Conquest is no longer legal under galactic law, Admiral Ji-hoon Seo replied firmly. Any species that attempts to enslave or destroy another will face the immediate response of the peacekeeping force. But the charter was not just about preventing war. Dr. Ji-won Yang, Earth's Director of Interspecies Cooperation, presented the positive aspects of the new system. Species that join the cooperative will have access to human technology and medical knowledge, she explained. We are already sharing agricultural techniques with 12 worlds, providing medical aid to 6 species, and helping 4 civilizations develop clean energy systems. The alien delegates began to understand that the humans were offering them something unprecedented: security without the need for their own military forces, and access to technology that could solve problems they had struggled with for centuries. What do you get out of this? Asked Ambassador Felkar of the Stellar Dominion. Why would you share your advantages with us? President Sujin-Oh smiled. Because a galaxy where everyone is prosperous and secure is a galaxy where humans can also be prosperous and secure. We learned long ago that helping others ultimately helps ourselves. The first species to sign the charter was unexpected. The Altarian Collective, a group of worlds that had been neutral in most galactic conflicts, stepped forward to accept the new system. We have watched empires rise and fall for millennia, said Elder Nixara of the Altarians. We have seen what happens when power is used only for domination. The humans offer something we have never seen before: power used for protection. One by one, other species began to follow. Not the great military empires, but the smaller civilizations that had suffered under the old system. The Centauri Republic, the Vegan Confederacy, the Rigel Alliance, all signed the charter and placed themselves under Earth's protection. But the real test came when the Vorthak Empire itself requested membership in the cooperative. Warlord Vextar, his pride finally broken by months of seeing his former enemies prosper while his empire stagnated, made the announcement that shocked the galaxy. The Vorthak Empire formally requests admission to the Galactic Cooperative, he said, his voice heavy with the weight of his decision. We wish to learn how to be something other than conquerors. The hall fell silent. The Vorthaks had been the most aggressive empire in the galaxy for over 1,000 years. The idea that they would voluntarily give up their military ambitions seemed impossible. Are you prepared to release all your conquered worlds? President Sujin-O asked. Are you willing to allow your former slaves to become equal partners? Warlord Vextar closed his eyes for a moment before answering. Yes, we have seen what cooperation can accomplish. We want to learn how to build instead of destroy. The transformation of the Vorthak Empire became a model for others to follow. Human advisors worked with former conquerors to help them develop peaceful economies. Species that had been enemies for centuries learned to work together on projects that benefited everyone. Captain Dalho Park, now serving as a liaison officer, found himself working with former enemies to establish trade routes and scientific exchanges. It is strange, he reported to Earth. These beings who wanted to kill us 6 months ago are now asking for our help in building better lives for their people. But not everyone accepted the new order willingly. Some military leaders and aggressive species rejected the charter entirely, choosing to maintain their old ways despite the risks. Admiral Thexral, representing a faction of the Stellar Dominion that refused to surrender their conquests, made one final attempt to challenge human authority. You cannot force the entire galaxy to live by your rules, he declared. Some of us will never accept this new order. The response came not from President Sujin-O, but from Ambassador Youngmi Choi. That is your choice, she said calmly. But you should understand the consequences. Any species that chooses to remain aggressive will find themselves isolated from the cooperative galaxy. No trade, no technological exchange, no assistance when disasters strike. To demonstrate this point, Earth implemented what they called the Isolation Protocol. Species that refused to join the cooperative found themselves cut off from the benefits of galactic civilization. Their ships were not allowed to enter cooperative space. Their trade requests were ignored. When natural disasters or plagues struck their worlds, they received no assistance. Within a year, most of the holdout species had changed their minds. Isolation in a galaxy where everyone else was cooperating and prospering was worse than any military defeat. The final transformation came when children from different species began learning together in integrated schools. Young beings who might have grown up as enemies instead became friends, working together on projects that pushed the boundaries of science and art. In the human city of New Geneva, a school served students from 23 different species. Teacher Ms. Yunjung Seo watched as a human child, a Vorthak youngster, and a Zephyrian student worked together to build a model spacecraft that could travel between dimensions. What do you want to do when you grow up? Ms. Yunjung Seo asked the young Vorthak, whose species had once been humanity's greatest enemy. I want to be an explorer, the child replied with enthusiasm. I want to find new worlds where we can build cities for everyone to live in together. 5 years after the failed attack on Earth, the galaxy was unrecognizable. The great military fleets that had once terrorized weaker species were now exploration vessels, searching for new worlds and new knowledge. The weapons factories had been converted to build hospitals, schools, and research facilities. Ambassador Sumin Lee, who had spent so many years pretending to be weak, now served as Earth's ambassador to the reformed Vorthak Republic. She often met with her old friend, former warlord Vextar, who had become a teacher in the new interspecies education system. Do you ever miss the old days?